Shalom to all the viewers out there tuning in through the power and spirit of the Most High and through our Lord and King Yahushai, who you call Jesus Christ. We come together to go over another message. Today, what we're going to touch on is the topic of Sunday worship. And we're going to discuss how the Christian church uses scriptures to implement Sunday worship. And you're going to find out the meaning of Sunday worship. The Christian church has created an illusion that there's some type of debate going on, or there's some type of confusion going on which day is the day that we're supposed to worship the Most High. And they've taken scriptures from the New Testament and they have created doctrine out of those in order to get the masses to worship on Sunday, which is a pagan day that goes all the way back to ancient Babylon. So we're going to touch on those scriptures that the Christian church uses, and we're going to go into the Bible and show you what day you're actually supposed to be worshiping on and the importance of worshiping on that day. The Sunday worship is just another one of Satan's tactics to get people to stray away from the Most High and to get people to inadvertently or purposely worship Satan. So with that, stay tuned. I'm Brother Yaracha. This is the Bible Unlocked, the Sunday discussion. Revelation 12 verse 9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. The prophecy says that Satan would deceive the entire world. The Christian church is still waiting for this to happen, not understanding that the Christian church is the primary channel used by Satan in order to fulfill this prophecy. This is the main channel used to fulfill this prophecy, and the Christians is looking all over the place. Why did he use Christianity? Because that's the place where you would never look. You would never look in Christianity because you would think that these people study the Bible and that they would give you an accurate representation of what the Bible says. But that's not the case. Satan infiltrated the Christian church during the 3rd and 4th century under the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church is what is all the other churches stem from. That's where a lot of the doctrines come from, with Sunday being one of the doctrines coming from the Roman Catholic Church. It tells you that Satan was the most subtle beast of the field. He's clever. You're not going to just be able to spot Satan unless you're actively looking and on your P's and Q's. If not, he'll get you every time. And you're going to find out this Sunday worship is something that we shouldn't even be having a discussion about, because it's not biblical. But Satan is able to take small verses that I'm going to show you, small verses, and able to create an entire doctrine out of it and go right over people's heads without them noticing, because he was the most subtle beast of the field. He's clever, and most people underestimate him. Acts chapter 20, verse 7. And upon the first day of the week, when the disciples came together to break bread, Paul preached unto them, ready to depart on the morrow, and continued his speech until midnight. Now, this scripture is one of the ones that the Christian church will pop up to justify Sunday worship. It says that they came together to break bread on the first day of the week. That was the topic of the discussion, to break bread on the first day of the week, not to switch the Sabbath day to Sunday. It was to break bread, but Satan, being more subtle than any beast of the field, he was able to take that and say, see, they came and created a doctrine and philosophy out of it. See, they came together now on the first day of the week, and now that's the new Sabbath day, when this has nothing to do with that at all. Nothing to do with that at all. Just because they came together to break bread on the first day of the week, that does not mean that that's the new Sabbath day. Just because they broke bread on the first day of the week. Here's the proof. Acts 2 verse 46. And they, continuing daily with one accord in the temple and breaking bread from house to house, did eat their meat with gladness and singleness of heart. Now, they did this daily, not just the first day of the week. They did this daily. They broke bread daily together. So does that mean that the Sabbath day is every day of the week now? Did that mean that the Sabbath day automatically changed from the 7th day to any day of the week we want to pick now? They were doing this every day of the week, breaking bread. Just because someone gets together and breaks bread, that don't mean that that's the new Sabbath day. It just happened to be Paul and them got together on the first day of the week. And that scripture, that just happened to be the day. If I get together with other brothers, we're going to break bread and we're going to go over the scriptures. That don't mean that that's the Sabbath day. That's not what this is saying. They did this every day. See, this is the verse that the Christian church won't pull out to show you that they were doing that every day, not just the first day of the week. That's why it says Satan deceived the entire world. That's why, because they're not going to give you honest scholarship and say, you know what, it wasn't just the first day of the week they were doing this. They were also doing this every day of the week. Let's get more. Because a pastor will tell you, well, they were breaking bread, but they weren't praising God. Because the verse in the previous verse we just went over, it says that Paul preached to them. So all of a sudden that changed that it was a Sabbath day now. But let's get more on this verse and see if they were doing the same thing. Praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to the church daily such as should be saved. And they were praising the Most High. The same thing they were doing in Acts 20 verse 7. When they got together on the first day of the week to break bread. And Paul preached to them. They did this every day. That does not mean the Sabbath day was changed to Sunday. Satan deceived the entire world. Something as small as this. This is what the Christian, look on any Christian website, these verses will come up. And they'll make you believe that Acts 20 verse 7, the whole Sabbath day was thrown out the window and now it's now Sunday. Let's get some more. 1 Corinthians chapter 16 verse 1. Now concerning the collection for the saints, as I have given order to the churches of Galatia, even so do ye. Upon the first day of the week, let every one of you lay by him in store, as God hath prospered him, that there be no gatherings when I come. Let's find out what the topic of the discussion is. Concerning the collection of the saints, not changing the Sabbath day to Sunday. Concerning the collection of the saints. That's the topic of the chapter. Collection the collection of the saints, not Sabbath changed to Sunday. That's all this is talking about. The collections of the saints. He says, get together on the first day of the week and gather the collection together so there'll be no gathering while he comes. And this order was only given to the church of Galatia and the church of the Corinthians. That's it. Because they were having a problem having the money together when Paul came. So he says, do it on this day so you don't have to be scrambling together to get the money when I come. That's all this is talking about. This ain't talking about the new Sabbath day changed to Sunday. Colossians 2 verse 16. Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink, or in respect of an holy day, or of the new moon, or of the Sabbath days. Well, this is the scriptures that the Christian church is going to go to as a last resort. After you already showed them that the previous scriptures don't have anything to do with changing the Sabbath day to the seventh day of the week to the first day of the week. This is their last resort scripture that they're going to go to. And they're going to say, see, Paul's telling me that you can't judge me if I don't want to keep the Sabbath day or if I don't want to keep the new moon. They're going to inject that it's implying that it's telling someone that they don't have to keep the Sabbath day or they don't have to keep the new moon, when this scripture has nothing to do with that. It's actually saying the opposite. Paul is talking to believers that are keeping the Sabbath day and the new moons. He's saying, don't let no one judge you for keeping the Sabbath day and for keeping the new moon. Any of the other pagans out there that don't believe in keeping the Sabbath. That's what he was talking about. He wasn't telling people to go out and just choose whatever day. You can just do whatever you want. That's not what Paul was talking about. Let's get the proof. Let's go up a few verses up and prove to you that Paul wasn't talking about doing anything extra, any other extra biblical things that you won't find in the Bible. That's not what he was saying. Watch. Colossians 2 verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the traditions of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ. The first thing Paul warned is that don't let anyone fool you and trick you by vain deceit and philosophy and the traditions of men. So Paul couldn't have been telling people to go out and do Sunday worship, because that's a tradition of men. That's the philosophy of men. That's vain deceit. That came 300 years after Christ with the Roman Catholic Church. Paul was not preaching that. If he was telling people now you can go out and just do whatever you want, he would have been condemning himself on this verse. He would have been the one that he would have been the one that he was warning other people against. Paul was not telling people to go out and do that. It says not and after the rudiments of the world and not after Christ. Christ never taught Sunday worship, as you're going to see as we continue going on in the message. Christ kept the Sabbath day, not Sunday worship. So Paul was not telling people you can go out and do whatever you want and worship on Sundays and whatever. He was not telling people that. He was telling believers to beware of other people that were going to judge them for keeping those days. The same way you got today. You tell somebody that you're a Sabbath keeper, they're going to look at you crazy. Look you all up and down like something's wrong with you. You're going to be the outcast. You're going to be the black sheep. He's saying don't let nobody judge you for that, because it was the same thing during the time of the Romans, during the Roman Empire. The same exact thing. Today is the modern day Roman Empire, just for your information. People wanted to keep Sunday worship back then, just like they want to keep Sunday worship today. So don't let no one judge you for keeping what the Most High says, which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Christ. These things are a shadow of things to come. The Sabbath day and the new moon, they're shadows of things to come, meaning you're going to see these things in the future. The Sabbath day, the new moon, these things aren't going anywhere. In the kingdom of heaven, as you'll see as we continue this lesson, we will be keeping the Sabbath day and the new moon in the kingdom of heaven. It's not going anywhere. It's a shadow of things to come. That's what it is. Now that we've taken care of all the scriptures that the Christian church uses under Satan to deceive the masses, now let's go into the Bible, and you're going to find out how clear it is that there's no debate at all on which day you have to keep to worship the Most High. It's going to be no debate. It's going to be very clear throughout the entire Bible. Genesis 2 verse 2. And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made. The Most High is the one that blessed and sanctified the seventh day. He's the one that did that. Not me, not Paul, not Ezekiel, not Isaiah, not Matthew, not John. The Most High is the one who sanctified the seventh day and said to rest on it, because he rested from all his work. Let's get some more. Exodus 31 verse 12. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, Verily my Sabbaths ye shall keep. The Most High said his Sabbaths. It's not nobody else's Sabbaths. It's his Sabbaths, not the church's Sabbaths, not anyone else's Sabbaths. His Sabbaths ye shall keep. For it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations. You know what throughout your generations means? That means as long as you have a gene line or a generation going, that means you're supposed to keep the Sabbath. As long as there's a generation and a genealogy to continue going, you have to keep the Sabbath. That's what the Most High commanded Moses. The Most High said that to Moses, not the Roman Catholic Church or anyone else. The Most High said that ye may know that I am the Lord that doth sanctify you. Ye shall keep the Sabbath therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defileth it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. And the Most High meant this when he said it. The soul shall be cut off from amongst his people. I'll do another lesson on how to keep the Sabbath day if the Most High's be the Most High's will. But whoever is doing work on the Sabbath day, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. And in Judgment Day, you're going to the lake of fire, whether you believe the Sabbath day is the right day or not. 6 days may work be done, But in the seventh is the Sabbath of rest, holy to the Lord. Whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death. Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations, for a perpetual covenant. You know what perpetual means? That means everlasting. That's what that means, perpetual. See, we shouldn't have any discussion about a Sunday worship when you actually read the Bible and study the Bible. He says for a perpetual covenant. The Most High can't lie. It's impossible for the Most High to lie. That's what it says in the scriptures. He says a perpetual covenant. You're going to find out that it means in the kingdom of heaven as well. A perpetual covenant. Understand that. I know most people can't understand that, but that's what it means. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. How long? Forever. No, until Jesus Christ dies on the cross. Forever. No, until Paul starts preaching. Forever. No, until the Roman Catholic Church under Satan comes in and deceives the entire world. Forever. He says it's a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. 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 See, but the nations have a problem with the children of Israel. They have us enslaved now. They know if they can keep us away from the Sabbath day, it justifies them having us in captivity and being servants. They know this already. They know this. As long as they can keep you out of the Sabbath day, because that's a sign between you and the Most High. I'm talking about to the children of Israel. That's a sign. That lets you know that you worship in the Most High. You're on the right track. That's a sign. That lets you know that you belong to the Most High when you're keeping the Sabbath day. Not Sunday, the Sabbath day. We shouldn't have to go any further into the scriptures. Once reading this scripture right here in Exodus 31, once someone reads this, there shouldn't be any more dispute about what day we're supposed to keep. But Satan is always infiltrating and always making people second guess themselves and second guess what the Most High said. He said that I'm going to take what the Most High said. He said it's going to be there forever and a perpetual covenant. I'm going to take his word over the Roman Catholic Church's word, over the Christian Church's word, over the pastor's word. I don't care how many philosophers you got out there. I'm taking what the Most High says because that's the way you're safe. They're trying to make you go against the Most High. That's why Satan's name, that's why Satan, it means the adversary. He's trying to get you to go against the Most High. And by default, once you go against the Most High, you automatically worshiping Satan, no matter how many ways you want to slice it and cut it. The Most High said forever, but Satan will make you believe that forever, it really don't mean forever. It really doesn't mean forever. It means until Paul came preaching. It means until the Roman Catholic Church came along. That's what he'll make you believe. That's Satan. That's Satan. That's how you know who Satan's dealing with. Now let's find out if the rest of the people in the Bibles understood this scripture that it said it'll be a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. Let's go and find out if Christ kept the Sabbath or if he was walking around doing Sunday worship. Come on. Luke 4 verse 14. And Jesus returned in the power of the Spirit into Galilee. And there went out a fame of him throughout all the region round about. And he taught in their synagogues, being glorified of all. And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up. And as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up for to read. He went in the synagogue on the Sabbath day to read. The Sabbath day, it says, as his custom was, meaning it was a custom for him to do this on the Sabbath day. Why? Because Christ understood something that the Roman Christian church doesn't understand today. That the verse that we read in Exodus 31, that it was a sign between me and the children of Israel forever, a perpetual covenant. Christ understood that. We're supposed to be following Christ, right? Christ kept the Sabbath day. What about you? Christ kept the Sabbath day. What about you? Christ understood. He actually had reading comprehension that when it says the Most High said it was a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. He understood that don't mean Sunday worship. He understood that. Now, some people might try to come up and say, well, Christ had to keep the Sabbath day, but after Christ died, it was a new revelation. That's where they give you this new age philosophy. Satan worship. That's all it is Satanism. New age philosophy. Now it's this new revelation. Now we don't have to keep the Sabbath day anymore. It's Sunday. Well, let's find out after Christ's death, were they keeping the Sabbath day or were they keeping Sunday like the Roman Christian church will want to make you believe? Let's find that out. Acts chapter 13, verse 13. Now when Paul and his company loosed from Paphos, they came to Perga and Pamphylia, and John departing from them returned to Jerusalem. But when they departed from Perga, they came to Antioch in Pisidia, and went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day. No, on Sunday. Sabbath day. No, the first day of the week. Sabbath day. You telling me Paul was keeping the Sabbath day? I thought Paul told me, judge no man thereof if he don't want to keep the Sabbath or the new moons. I thought Paul's telling me that I can do whatever I want. Hold on, wait. Paul's keeping the Sabbath day. He went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day. I thought it was over with once Christ died. I thought, no, Paul understood Exodus 31 as well, where it said a perpetual covenant between me and the children of Israel. Paul was a children of Israel. He was from the tribe of Benjamin. He understood that as well, something that you don't understand today. Paul was able to have that type of comprehension on a basic level. He understood that the Most High meant what he said. And he didn't have the authority to come and start preaching something else. The Most High said forever, then Paul come along saying, well, it don't matter no more. That don't make sense. That's not what Paul was preaching. Paul was keeping the Sabbath day and sat down. And after the readings of the law and the prophets, the rulers of the synagogue sent unto them, saying, Ye men and brethren, if ye have any word of exhortation for the people, say on. Then Paul stood up and beckoning with his hand said, Men of Israel, and ye that fear God, give audience. So Paul was telling them to listen to what he's about to say. When you continue reading down in the chapter, Paul preached Christ to them. He preached the Messiah to them. Let's find out what happened after Paul preached the word of the Most High, and he preached Yahushua to the rulers and the leaders. Acts chapter 13, verse 42. And when the Jews were gone out of the synagogue, the Gentiles besought that these words might be preached to them the next Sabbath. Even the Gentiles wanted to come get it in on the Sabbath day. The Gentiles heard Paul and them preaching in the synagogue on the Sabbath day, and they said, we want a piece of that on the next Sabbath day. The Gentiles back then, during the time of Christ, this is right after Christ's death. They're a different breed of Gentiles than you Gentiles out there right now. Totally different breed of people. They followed and knew their position in regards to the children of Israel. They didn't come bringing no Sunday worship, bringing Christmas and Easter, all those pagan holidays which came through the Roman Catholic Church. They didn't come doing that. Let's find out what the Gentiles knew that you Gentiles don't know today. They knew something that it was important. It was an importance of keeping the Sabbath day. Watch this. Let's find out what they knew. Isaiah 56 verse 6. Also the sons of the stranger that joined themselves to the Lord to serve him and to love the name of the Lord, to be his servants, everyone that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it and taketh hold of my covenant, even them will I bring to my holy mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon mine altar. For mine house shall be called an house of prayer for all people. The Gentiles, when it says the sons of strangers, strangers is another word for Gentiles. The sons of strangers that take hold on that same covenant that the Most High said was a covenant, a perpetual covenant between me and the children of Israel. The same Gentiles that grabbed hold on that and didn't defile it and didn't pollute it and didn't preach Sunday worship and didn't tell the children of Israel to go off and worship other gods. The same Gentiles, he said that they would be accepted. So that's what the Gentiles knew during the time of Paul. They knew to grab hold of the Sabbath day covenant, not the Roman Catholic Sunday covenant under Satan. They knew that. So that's why they said, hey, we need to hear this word again. The next Sabbath day. You understand? That's what it's talking about. You got to take hold of the covenant and then he'll accept those Gentiles that do that. A remnant of those that do that. Because most of the Gentiles going to follow Sunday worship because that is what their natural instinct is to do. Follow Sunday worship and Satan worship. That's the natural instinct of most Gentiles out there. So that's what this is going into. You don't take hold on this covenant, you can forget about the kingdom of heaven. Forget about the kingdom of heaven. You don't take hold on that covenant. The Lord God, which gathereth the outcasts of Israel, saith, yet will I gather others to him besides those that are gathered unto him. He's going to gather other people outside of the children of Israel that are not gathered unto him. Others that take hold on the covenant of the Sabbath day. That's what it's going into. Other Gentiles that take hold on the covenant of the Sabbath day. He's going to gather unto him. If you don't do that, you stay in Sunday worship, you can forget about it. He ain't talking about you. You can go do your Sunday worship and have fun doing it. He's not talking about you. The Gentiles, right after the death of Christ, they understood that. But 300 years after Christ, that's when your Gentile leaders, the Roman Catholic Church, came in and said, we don't want that covenant. We like Satan. We want to worship Satan and other pagan gods. Now, when the congregation was broken up, many of the Jews and religious proselytes followed Paul and Barnabas, who speaking to them persuaded them to continue in the grace of God. And the next Sabbath day came almost the whole city together to hear the word of God. I thought the Sabbath day was done away with after Christ. I thought Sunday was the new day of worship. I thought Paul, this is Paul. What is Paul doing keeping the Sabbath day? I thought Paul came and said, we don't have to do that anymore. Don't let no one judge you for doing that. The whole city, now can you imagine the whole city coming out to hear the word of God? He said almost the whole city. Can you just imagine that? The whole city, any big city out there, the whole city coming to hear the word of the Most High on the Sabbath day, not Sunday, on the Sabbath day. That's how many people wanted to hear the word of God. This don't got nothing to do with breaking bread. You see how clear this is? This is clear. This don't got nothing to do with breaking bread on the first day of the week. It tells you that the Sabbath day was when everyone came out to hear the word of God. This is after the death of Christ. Ezekiel chapter 46 verse 1. Thus saith the Lord God, the gate of the inner court that looketh toward the east shall be shut the 6 working days. This is going into the kingdom of heaven. Yes, the kingdom of heaven. 6 working days. Let's examine what this is saying. 6 working days. That means in the kingdom of heaven, guess what? You will be working 6 working days. 6 working days. The gate is going to be shut. But on the Sabbath, it shall be opened. And in the day of the new moon, it shall be opened. But on the Sabbath day and the new moon, that gate is going to be open. Let's find out why it's going to be opened. And the prince shall enter by the way of the porch of the gate without. The prince is Yahushua, the king, who you call Jesus Christ. He's going to enter into the gate and shall stand by the post of the gate. And the priest shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offerings, and he shall worship at the threshold of the gate. Then he shall go forth, but the gate shall not be shut until the evening. So he's going to worship, then he's going to go through the gate, but the gate's not going to be shut yet. Let's find out what else is going to happen. Likewise, the people of the land shall worship at the door of the gate before the Lord in the Sabbaths and in the new moons. The Sabbath day and the new moon, people are going to worship the Most High. Those that have the privilege to make it into the kingdom will be worshiping the Most High on the Sabbath and the new moon. Why? Because the Most High said it was a perpetual covenant forever, forever, forever. The Most High meant it when he said forever. In the kingdom of heaven, Sabbath days. From the beginning, Sabbath days. During the time of Christ, Sabbath days. After Christ's death, Sabbath days. Kingdom of heaven, Sabbath day. That's what the Most High is dealing with. There's no debate on what day we're supposed to be worshiping. It's too clear in the scriptures. It didn't go in the beginning. He wanted Sabbath day. The time of Moses, Sabbath day. All the prophets, Sabbath day. Christ kept the Sabbath day. Oh, then there's a break in there with Paul. Sunday. All of a sudden we get Sunday, and then we're going to jump back to the Sabbath day in the kingdom. That makes no sense. That's confusion. The Most High is not the author of confusion. That's confusion. It's all the way Sabbath days. All the way. All the way. Now, this is what we're going to be doing on the Sabbath day in the kingdom. Let's find out what else we're going to be doing on the Sabbath day. You're going to be surprised what else we're going to be doing on the Sabbath day in the kingdom of heaven. Those who have the privilege of making it and get the chance to worship the Most High on the Sabbath day. Watch. Isaiah 66 verse 22. For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, saith the Lord. So we know for sure this is talking about the new heaven and the new earth, or the kingdom of heaven, which will be established right here on earth. Come on. So shall your seed and your name remain, and it shall come to pass. This means future tense for those that don't really understand. It shall come to pass, meaning future tense. Sometime in the future it's going to happen. That from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me. That's clear. All flesh, meaning all flesh that make it into the kingdom, that get the privilege to worship the Most High. Every new moon and Sabbath day, you come in to worship before the Most High, saith the Lord. The Most High said this, not me, not Ezekiel, not anyone else. The Most High said it. Say it, the Most High. I'm going to go with what he says. Let's find out what else we're going to be doing. So we know in the kingdom, we're going to be doing it just like we just read in Ezekiel 46. We're going to be keeping the Sabbath day in the kingdom. Now let's find out what else we're going to be doing. This is the spot right here. This is the eye opener right here to find out what you're going to be doing if you make it into the kingdom. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me. For their worms shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh. We gonna go forth every Sabbath day and new moon to the lake of fire to look at all the Sunday worshipers, look at all the adulterers, all the murderers, all the kidnappers, all the Satan worshipers. We're going forth every Sabbath and new moon to do this. We're going to be looking at all the bodies in the lake of fire. That's what this is talking about. Every Sabbath day, we're going forth to look at the Sunday worshipers, those that was teaching people to keep Sunday and not Sabbath. Every Sabbath day, it's going down. You got 4 Sabbaths, sometimes 5 Sabbaths in a month, and you have 1 new moon every month. So between 5 and 6 times a month, we go into the lake of fire. We're going to praise the Most High, go get together and go to the lake of fire. Christ talked about this with the parable of the rich man and the poor man, Lazarus. He talked about this. He said it's a great gulf fixed between us. And all that guy wanted was a drip of water on his tongue. And he couldn't get it. We going forth every Sabbath to look at bodies burning in the lake of fire. All the people that transgressed against the Most High. All the people that did that. That's a sight to see. This is where people have to make decisions on if you want to take that chance of being the one that's in that burning flame. Then you're going to understand what the word forever and perpetual means, because you think it's a joke. You think it's just something cute, something that he just thought to say that time. Well, we can just do whatever we want. That's when you're going to understand what the word forever means. After 1,000,000 years, you're going to be sitting there like that. I got another 1,000,000 years. I got another 1,000,000 years after that. Then I got another 1,000,000,000 years after that. You're going to understand what it means forever. And then those that kept the covenant, when the Most High says the Sabbath day forever, they're going to understand what forever means as well. And they're going to be glad that they understood what something as simple as forever meant. So who implemented the Sunday worship? Yes, you guessed it. The Roman pagan Christian church. The Romans. They're the ones who implemented that. 300 years, they waited 300 years after Christ, and then they said, we're going to start changing stuff up. They kicked and expelled all the Jews out of Rome, and then they became the so-called authoritative source over the Bible. And then they're the one who start implementing many of their old ancient pagan philosophies and doctrines. Sunday being one of them. The Sunday worship being one of them. They've always worshiped on Sunday. Sunday is the commemoration of the sun god. And all or most ancient civilizations had worship of the sun god. The Babylonians, Nimrod. That's who they worship and deified as the sun god. The Egyptians, the sun god Ra. The Greeks, they had Helios and Apollo, the sun gods. The Romans had the Sol Invictus. That was their sun god. That was their sun god. Many ancient civilizations worship the sun. It's not anything new. Modern day America, who's the sun god today? The misrepresented character in the Bible who they call Jesus Christ. That's the new sun god. Because the way they depict Christ today is not the same guy in the Bible. All they're doing is using a character, and they're taking them and they molding them and customizing him to fit the old ancient pattern of sun gods, and using the Bible to mask it over. Because nobody in today's time is going to worship the sun knowingly. But the higher ups, they know, they get power from doing this. So they came up with a solution to have people inadvertently worship the sun and worship Satan. Because that's what it is. It's Satan worship. So they got you worshiping the sun or Satan and got you thinking that you're really following the Bible, when those two don't have anything to do with each other. All you got to do is study the Bible, not read the Bible. You got to study the Bible. You got to study the Bible. You got to ask yourself, what is it? Why is there a day called Sunday? And why are we going to worship on this day? Why is it called Sunday? Does the sun shine more? Is it out for more hours on Sunday than any other day of the week? Is it a little bit more yellow or orange on Sunday? What is the sun doing for it to be called Sunday? What is it doing? Is it a little bit more hotter on Sunday? I'm trying to find out why is it called Sunday? You're going to find out that it says it's called Sunday because that's exactly what it means. It's the sun's day, the day where you commemorate the sun. That's why it's called that. The sun, it ain't called, there's no reason why it's called Sunday other than that. And that goes right over people's heads. You don't know that you're worshiping the sun. That's what you're doing. You're worshiping the sun. Satan in the form of the sun. That's what you're doing. Whether you want to accept it or not. Sunday. And listen, I don't have any problem. Me personally, I can care less if people want to worship on Sunday. I can care less if you want to worship on Sunday. If you want to worship on Sunday, go for it. I don't have a problem with people worshiping Satan. Me personally, I don't. You want to do it, go for it. The problem comes in is when people try to say that the Most High or the Bible says we do Sunday worship. Or Sunday's the day of worship now. That's when the problem comes in, because now you're lying. Now you're purposely deceiving the people. If you want to do Sunday worship, just say you want to worship Satan. Just say that that's what you prefer to do. I prefer to worship the sun. Don't try to add the Bible into the mix to say that the Bible said, because it's clear that the Bible never says nothing about worshiping on Sunday. That's a pagan day. Now let's not get simple and get confused, because you can worship on Sunday. You can worship Sunday, you can worship Monday, you can worship the Most High on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You can worship Him 24 hours a day. That's not the case. The case is that there's one day that is mandatory for you to worship. Because that's another Christian cop-out. Well, I worship the Most High, I worship God every day of the week. No, you don't. You pick Sunday to be the day where you do the holy convocation and you get together with other believers. You don't do that every day of the week and on the Sabbath day. The Most High said one specific day. Everything else is optional. But there's one day that is mandatory. That's the difference. One day is mandatory. All the other ones are optional. You can't switch them around. You can't make Sunday the mandatory day and everything else optional, or Tuesday the mandatory day and everything else optional. It doesn't work that way. The Most High said the Sabbath day, which is Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, because the evening and the morning were the first day. The day starts with the evening. That's what the Most High said. So don't bring in the pagan rituals and pagan philosophy and try to make it seem like the Bible says we need to do these things. That's where the problem comes in. You want to go worship Satan? By all means, go do it. Go worship Satan and live it up. That's my philosophy on it. See, that's the beauty about teaching the scriptures. I don't have to convince nobody or get converts. All I have to do is give you the opportunity to see both sides of the story. And then you decide. I can't decide for you. The Most High is not going to decide for you. So you got to decide what you're going to do from then. And you would think that it wouldn't be a problem for most people to say, you know what? I guess it is wrong for us to be doing Sunday worship. We should really get into what the Most High says and get back into the covenant of the Sabbath day worship, which is on the seventh day. But most people won't let it go because there is a spirit leeching onto them. There's a spirit behind Sunday worship because you're dealing with a totally different entity. Some people got people in the room right now listening that got a problem with this. Even though it don't matter how many scriptures you show them, they still want Sunday worship. Old grandma who's been in the church 50 years, she wants Sunday worship. She don't care about what the Bible says. That's why Paul says in Colossians 2:8, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit. You got to beware of that. People want traditions. There's a spirit leeching on the people. So you have to understand, when people don't want to keep the Sabbath day, you're not really dealing with that person per se. You're dealing with that spirit that's leeched onto them. It don't want to let that Sunday worship go because Satan has his legion of demons leeching onto these people. They don't want to let it go. There's a demon inside of them that's fighting. It's the inward man that's grabbing, it's pulling. It don't want to give up Sunday because as soon as you give up Sunday worship, that Sunday demon goes away. The demon don't want to go away. He's comfortable in his vessel, in his house. He's comfortable. People don't want to give it up. It's only one day prior, and people don't want to give it up. No matter how many Christ came down to tell you, it don't matter what the Bible tells you. It don't matter any of that. They want to keep that Sunday worship. There's a spirit behind it, and there's a God that they're dealing with behind that Sunday worship. My advice to all people out there is when you're going through the Bible, you have to read this thing without any Christian influence. You have to go over this whole thing again because Satan is so infiltrated in the Christian church. Something as simple as Sunday worship. How would this be able to slip through people's minds when you study and read the Bible? When you read the Bible without Christian influence and you just read it straight through and you run across verses where it says a perpetual covenant, and then you get all the way to the New Testament and you read stuff like, okay, they got together for the first day of the week. Nowhere in your mind will you come to the conclusion, without Christian influence, well, this is the new Sabbath day. There's no way you would come to that conclusion. The reason why you have that conclusion is because of all the Christian influence. You keep hearing it on the TV. Sunday, 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 Sunday. So your mind automatically goes to that state when you see something like that. You automatically believe it. Like, okay, well, enough people have been saying it. It must be true. No, read the Bible without any Christian influence. You'll never reach that conclusion. Nobody in the Old Testament, after Christ, came with that conclusion that all of a sudden we have a new Sabbath day. That's unheard of. That's not biblical. That is tradition and philosophy of men. That's what that's dealing with. That's what that's dealing with. So with that, I hope you have been edified and that you understand now without a shadow of a doubt what the Sabbath day is, and you need to worship on that day. You can worship all other days, but that day is mandatory to worship on. And the next video, I'll be able to give a breakdown on how to keep the Sabbath. I'll go more in depth into how to keep the Sabbath. But for now, you know that you have to keep the Sabbath. That's the day of worship. No Sunday churches. You shouldn't be going to no Sunday only churches. You shouldn't be dealing with that. That's dealing with paganism and Satanism. That's dealing with traditions of men. Those are offsprings of the Roman Catholic Church. That's what that is. So with that, I say peace and blessings. And until next time, shalom.